Hi.
Hi, guys. Happy holidays.
Yes. So today we wanted to do more of a coaching episode on helping clients navigate the holidays. And I can talk a lot about personal experience. I feel like when people first listen to this, they're going to roll their eyes and be like, ugh, I just want to eat. But I want to give you guys a way how to navigate it and still be able to work around your goals. So, Christy, what's your initial thoughts kind of on like how have you approached holidays before? Do you have a negative mindset about it, positive? How has that evolved?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as everyone else. I do get a little anxiety around the holidays depending on what I'm working on. So for me, the Arnold is right after the holidays, the beginning, like the very end of February, and I'm in a weight class. So I'm always a little bit anxious about like too much weight gain or like in the past I haven't enjoyed the holidays as much as I wanted to because in the end of the day, yeah, it's family time and you should enjoy them. But sometimes if you have big goals, they kind of override that. And the food aspect is mostly what gives the most anxiety because not everyone in your family is prepping for a bodybuilding show or for a strongman show. But over the years, I've been able to kind of figure out and handle it just based on a case by case basis, really. So, what about you?
Okay, so I want to start this with because a lot of people be like, "Oh, you must not like food that much." I am the fattest ass you will ever meet. I love food and I can put it down more than most men. So,
Oh
I
my
was pretty
gosh.
bummed. Yeah, so we're Anthony and I are hosting Thanksgiving this year, and Thanksgiving is my absolute favorite. Like I crave stuffing and cranberry. That's actually what I had for one of my meals post show. I crave Thanksgiving and like pumpkin anything is my favorite. So we're hosting, so that means we'll be cooking and all that fun stuff, and we will be 12 days out from nationals. So that's why I was inspired to kind of do this podcast episode because at first I was like, shit, I'm going to be 12 days out. I'm going to be so tired. I'm going to be having to do cardio while everyone's staying at our house, and I'm going to be cooking and not even able to test anything. And then I was like, okay, there's more to the holidays than just food. Yes, that's a big part of it, but it's like, this is a privilege that I'm competing. I am choosing to do this, and I am lucky that family is coming to us. And then Anthony said, and by the way, Brittany, if you're not lean enough at that point in prep to have a piece of turkey and some cranberry sauce, we got bigger problems. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I will be able to have probably I'm not going to indulge, but I probably will have like a little bite of everything because I should be lean and need a refeed if I plan everything accordingly. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So it's pretty individual. If you're in a bodybuilding show, you'll have to plan around it. I think that people like let's say like me who are not doing like a bodybuilding show still might get a little bit anxiety around it, but like for both of us, and this is kind of how I approach it now. And it depends what phase I'm in. Right now, I am cutting a little bit because we're going to Costa Rica after the holidays, so it's a good goal to keep in mind. That's kind of keeping me focused on it. Um, but here's the thing. Let's see. There's 2 months of the holiday season. People are bringing treats and stuff like that all around. Um, I'm very consistent all the other days, but I will enjoy myself with my family on Thanksgiving and then Friendsgiving and then Christmas. What? That's 3 days out of all those other days. I try not to put too much weight onto that. So for me, I have a little bit more of the luxury of, I'm just in a weight class sport. I don't have to be like super, super lean. But I approach it that way too. It's like, hey, I'm going to enjoy it when I'm, actually with my family. I'm not a big foodie. I won't overindulge or anything, but I'm very consistent all the other days. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because in the media, it's sometimes on Instagram this time of year, but do you remember reading fitness magazines a couple
Hmm.
years ago? And as a little girl, I would see this and believe it. It would be like a piece of cake or like a holiday meal, and it would put the equivalent to every
Yeah.
cardio exercise. Like one piece of cake was like 45 minutes in the
Right.
Stairmaster. And so I see that clients still have this notion. And I never, when I am educating someone and working with them, I never want them to think that food equals exercise, because that's just going to set up
Hmm.
a bad habit. It's like we want to encourage people to build muscle, because the more muscle you have, the more you can eat. And like you said, if you're consistent 90% of the time, 3 days isn't anything. I always tell people you're not going to gain 20 pounds in one day, even if you ate everything in one day. Like you woke up and you were just like, fuck it, I'm going to eat my way through Thanksgiving all day, every day. Have cookies for breakfast, which I've done before. And then, have your Thanksgiving, have the leftovers, have all the appetizers. You might feel like crap and the scale weight will definitely be up, but you are not going to undo like years of progress in one day. It becomes a
Yeah.
slippery slope when people have the mindset where they start to feel guilty for indulging. So then they wake up in a mindset and they're just like, fuck it, what's one more day? And I want to encourage everyone to not think like that and to do the work. I help a lot of clients with that, because it's like once you go down that route, you're setting yourself up for a bad relationship with food, which you probably already have one if you even think like that, which I have in the past. So
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to talk about it.
No, I totally agree. I do get like the little bit of anxiety around the holidays just because in the past, I think that's just how I always was growing up. And with, just the way that my family would talk too. Like, but my mom's like, I shouldn't eat that, like I, I don't want to eat that much, or like after you eat, oh, I feel sick, I ate too much, stuff like that. It sticks with you for sure. But something that I think about a lot is, let's say I live to 80 years old, I only have 80 Christmases. Like it's not a lot, right? So you should be able to relax and enjoy it.
I love what you said about like if you live to be 80 years old, you only have 80 Christmases. That's a really, really good way to look at it.
Yeah, and like if you section that off in your life, like it's like only have 16 of being when you're a kid, and then you know, and then when you're like a parent, you're only going to have, like 20 with your kids. And then when you're a grandparent, you're only going to have, how many every year with your grandkids. So, you definitely want to enjoy each one. And, but if you're listening to this podcast, I know you guys have big goals and long-term and short-term goals. And so that's what we're here to talk about, kind of how we advise our clients to approach these with a good mindset, healthily, and so you can actually achieve what you're working towards. I mean, that is also important. But I don't want this to become, like you said, like the magazines that are comparing a piece of cake to how many Stairmaster minutes you need to do.
Yeah, and a little bit of self-monitoring. And one tip I do with clients, and I just did it for myself. So I was just traveling back to back with weddings, and my little brother is getting married. I want to be able to have a meal with my family and not pull out the Tupperware. In the past, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have pulled out the Tupperware. Like, hell, I'm sticking to my plan. I don't care. Now I'm a little more mature in terms of knowing how to navigate life like that. So all I did was I stuck with my plan all day, but I took out my most of my carbs that I would normally have distributed throughout the day. I took them and I saved them for the meal at night. And I didn't overindulge, but I had the food, and then I had some of the ice cream at the bar. But most importantly, I used to, and I'm sure a lot of females can relate to this, I had kind of like a little bit of a binging problem because I was always dieting, where once I started, I felt like I would eat so fast and I almost like wouldn't get full and I couldn't stop. So now a tip that I use with clients is I nasal breathe when I'm eating, and I am so cognitive of how that food tastes and what the texture is like, that I really, really enjoy it and I'm present. And don't get me wrong, I'm never really full. But, I try to sip water in between and just be more cognitive so that way, because sometimes like when your food tastes so good, you're like, oh, I might never have this again. And like the dopamine and serotonin, it's like, sugar is just as addicting as like cocaine. So all those chemicals are going off,
Mhm.
like telling you like you might never have this again. So just being mindful of that. And another tip that if you're listening that I learned from um, the Loco Fit show, Lauren, who's an amazing coach and owner of Loco Fit, which she coaches a lot of competitors and lifestyle people, is she had a psychiatrist on the episode, and what he suggested for people dealing with bad food habits is to make yourself aware. So let's say you are one of those people that you'll follow the diet all day. Maybe you'll even go to your Christmas meal and you don't want to seem like you're overindulging in front of people. That's pretty common. So then you'll take the leftovers home, and when no one's looking, you'll shovel it in. That was me before. So what he would say to do is when you're in that binge, to have a note card and literally write down that you're doing it, because something about just like stopping and writing down that you're doing it can help. Or if you're not someone that wants to write down, to picture something in your mind like a stop sign and just go do something else for 5 minutes, whether that's folding laundry, calling a friend, just something else to get your brain out of that like fight or flight almost response that can happen around food.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea, and it kind of reminds me of too of like another thing people can do. I know I've done in the past is knowing if there's gonna be a big meal, family meal, maybe not eating all morning, uh, just so I can be like, try to counterbalance how much I'm gonna eat. But then you get there and you're starving, and then you eat, and you're kind of more focused on that food and thinking about when are we gonna have food, when are like just try to have a normal day. Eat your normal whatever your meal plan is before then, and don't try to restrict. I mean, you're going to, have an untracked meal and it's going to be okay. Don't try to counterbalance that by not eating in the morning, because that will also lead to overeating and just overfixation on the food aspect instead of getting there, not starving, be able to hang out with your family and not just going straight to the cookies.
That is such a good point, because a lot of people will say like I'm just going to fast.
Yeah.
I love that. I would say prioritize, like I did for the wedding, is I didn't have all my carbs, but I still prioritize protein, because yeah, then you're going to go there and you're going to be so ravenous, you're going to overeat and then not feel good. That's a good tip. Another tip, if you're someone that, does diet and track everything, is I would highly recommend taking a GDA that agrees with you prior to a heavy carb meal. The GDA is a glucose disposable agent, so you want to take that 20 minutes prior to a heavy carb meal. It's just going to help you shuttle nutrients, not get as bloated. There's often the common ingredients are berberine, cinnamon. There's a couple different. Play around with it, because a lot of times, like if you take it and then don't have enough carbs, your blood sugar is gonna dip too much and you won't feel good. But the GDA is just gonna help you shuttle nutrients. And oftentimes, like I will purposely have clients have like a big lifting day the day after Thanksgiving, because it's like, you have extra fuel in your body now. So use it. Like I know personally when I have extra carbs or refeed, like I get the best. Now that I'm a bodybuilder, I get the best pump. But when I was a strongman, I'd be like, I'm gonna go for a PR today.
Yeah, no, it feels good, and even if you're in a you've been dieting for a certain reason, like you a weight loss goal, it's okay. Like there are uses for cheat meals or dopamine meals in your plan. Like there's no reason you should be like in a severe deficit for a super long time. Like it's going to be okay to have go over in your calories for like I said, a few meals in a couple months. So you can make it.
Something else too that we did growing up at my aunt's house that I now realize was like a healthy habit, that I kind of rolled my eyes when I was little. I was like, why do we have to do this? But Italian family, just like you are now going to be, Christy, and an Italian family, it's even more focused around food than anything. So we'd have like uh, two Thanksgivings basically within 3 hours, and then dessert. So before dessert, my cousins and aunt and I would actually just go for a little walk around the block, I was like, this is annoying. I don't want to walk. I just want to sit on the couch and like watch football and veg out. Now that I'm older, it's like, okay, those 10-minute walks that are all over social media now are so beneficial. There's actually a study that shows like a 10-minute walk after eating is more effective than metformin. I don't know how true that is. I don't want to compare a walk to a a diabetic
Yeah.
drug. However, I think that that's pretty amazing. And I know from
Yes.
experience when I've taken my blood glucose, it's like, wow, I can't believe a 10-minute walk helps bring back like the level
I've
like that.
done
It's really
that.
cool.
I started testing my blood glucose recently. Like I have one of the monitors, and I did that. I've been tracking a lot of different things, such as how it spikes my blood sugar, and the 10-minute walk works. I mean, it does bring it down really fast. So, and I walk after every meal anyway, just because it's a good schedule in your day. Eat, walk. You know, it just gives you a little activity, especially for us who sit at our desk a lot. But yeah, the walk is great, and it's so funny that you said the Italian family thing. Like, I grew up more Midwestern, like casserole. So like our Thanksgiving was good, but like now at Gary's family, I'm like there is so much abundance of food, and it's so good. But like, it's definitely a bigger Thanksgiving, and I'm excited about it. Like I like Thanksgiving food now. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting with the 10-minute walk thing because it does work, and I'm telling everyone, like, especially like your parents or your grandparents, tell them go take a walk after you eat. Like it helps so much.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel better because I also sometimes don't like holidays. Like honestly, Thanksgiving's not my favorite because I don't like to just like eat and sit, and I get tired. I don't feel good. So yeah, just try to be active. You're not trying to burn it off. You're just trying to help things digest a little bit better so you don't feel like crap. Because if you're listening to this, you probably always try to eat kind of healthy anyway. So um, it'll just help, level you out a little bit more.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to talk about is navigating it with family comments because you had said like your mom commented on
Mm,
what you were eating. I know that for me, usually being in prep, and like I said, I did not bust out the Tupperware for my brother's wedding because my family kind of expected that. I help clients a lot because a lot of times they're like, well, my family's upset with me that I'm going to the gym on Thanksgiving. And it's like, if you have goals, just own them, but make sure that, you're doing it in a healthy way. Because I personally love to go to the gym. Like my family would get upset, but they've known it's my habit. I go to the gym on Christmas because I always say like, no lift, no gift. Like it's just what I say. So, make your family aware of it. Like if you have these goals, like just communicate them because they don't know what's going on in your head. And if your family, there's always going to be one aunt or something that maybe has a negative comment. I feel Anthony and I were just discussing this at the wedding. It's like sometimes we just wish we were normal because it's like I get more comments because of how I look when I'm eating junk. Like
yes.
the person goes, she gave me my ice cream and she goes, "Are you sure you want to eat this?" And
Yeah,
I looked
people
at
do
her and
that
I'm
all the
like,
time.
"Yeah, I'm sure."
Yeah, people do that all the time. It's just how it is. And so if you get that comment for the first time, just use it as a like welcome to the club. You're jacked. You look fit. People can tell you're fit. But yeah, like you would never say that to an overweight person. That's for sure. Try not to say that to people because overweight or fit or whatever, because you're trying to enjoy that food. And someone commented that you still in the back of your mind probably feel a little guilty, but you are eating because you are treating yourself. It's a treat. So you should be able to enjoy it. Like, so just try not to say that, but also try not to to take it too personally and make it a thing within your family because it's not worth the drama. Just say, because a lot of people don't really understand fitness and nutrition. I'm sure, like, if you're the fit person in your family, you just get all these questions. Like, it's basically people will be like, "What should I eat?" And then you tell them like, advice, and then they give you all their excuses. It's just how it always is, and it's a waste of time.
Oh,
So
Christy,
just like I know, I'm like, oh,
we
like
we should do a funny episode where it's like, what questions did you get asked at the holidays? Like, because you know how like
yes,
if you're a trainer, they'll be like, "Is 100
yeah.
grams of carbs too much? Should I be
Yeah,
drinking
I get all
this?"
the time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's luckily I've been around my family and Gary's family's been around Gary enough to be like, they don't have questions like that. But if you go into bigger groups, or I've been at like parties where like, I have a drink in my hand and like someone's like, spend an hour trying to give this person fitness advice, so they ask for it. I'm like, this is not going to go anywhere. They'll like give me excuses. Just try to let it be, just water rolling over your back. Is that the expression? It's like, is that the expression? Just be like, haha. Like usually I'm just like, whatever. Like I don't spend too much time explaining that stuff anymore. Yeah. Not in those settings.
I keep a very open mind too when I'm helping clients with it. They'll be like, well, should I do this or this? And it's like, everyone is going to have a food preference that they like. And for some people, it's a couple glasses of wine. For some people, it's dessert. For some people, it's both. Because I know some coaches will be like, absolutely no alcohol. And it's like, if that's your thing, if you really want a glass of wine, because I can relate to that, then that's fine. It's just, I would say with the alcohol portion, I know you don't drink a lot, Chrissy, but with the alcohol portion, it's like you have to be careful, because if you have one too many and then you start to feel tipsy, all those inhibitions are going to go out the window, and then you won't be able to think straight enough. So just, prepare a little bit. Like if you're going to give yourself like a limit, like I'm only going to have 2 drinks. That way it's not just like I like to say the fuck it mentality, which is really, really, really easy to decide. If you don't do enough time preparing and like promising yourself, it's really easy to just have that mentality kind of take over.
And the more you practice the mentality of saying, I'm going to have just this many and that's enough, and you prove to yourself that you do have a limit. For me, it's like how many drinks I have, or like how many, like not over, like still having the meal that's like yummy, but not like having the 7 extra cookies, maybe just 1 cookie. Like proving yourself you can do that and have control and still have a good time. Like at first it's really hard, but eventually the food thing doesn't become as much of a like fight or flight of like, for me, it was always just like that mentality of like, I have to eat it all really fast so no one else can have it. I have it, kind of mentality. Like I always eat really fast and I always just like do it. Cause I'm like, I just need to get it done, eventually you kind of train yourself to go slower, enjoy what you're eating, and have a stopping point, because that's all you need, it does get easier and it makes it a lot more enjoyable rather than just like an impulsion. That's not fun either. You could just have a normal meal with your family and enjoy it, have some treats, and call it a day.
Exactly. And just like a muscle, I would say the self-discipline aspect does grow, because I used to struggle with it. I come from a background where I was like a athlete when I was little, and I could, before I understood nutrition, I would just eat everything, like literally everything and whatever I wanted all the time. I was like, people joke when they see me and my brothers eat, they're like, you guys are human like garbage disposals. It's actually funny because my appetite, Christy will be excited this, me, Nick, and Anthony are actually going to we're gonna YouTube it. We're gonna do it all you could eat buffet, us 3, and I am pretty confident that I will beat Nick best, because I don't think his appetite is very good. But it reminds me of when we went to all you could eat sushi when you and Gary came here. And I remember Anthony never lets me live this down. We were really newly dating, not even like official yet. And I remember I saw him eat, and then we got to the car and I said, good job. You ate really good. And he started laughing. He's like, that's the funniest compliment I've ever gotten. And I'm like, no, like you eat like an athlete, because I've been around so many people that are dieting and stuff. And a lot of times people have had comments about how much I can eat. And I get like a little self-conscious about it, because I'm like, all right, like, I don't know what to tell you. So just a little side story I wanted to share there.
I know, that was so funny of how many plates we had. Like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. And it's good to be around people like that too, who like eat and fuel their bodies and enjoy things. Cause if your friend has like a little salad and they're like chewing on a piece of cellary, you're like, all right, I guess I'm not going to eat,
Yeah, exactly. And then we just planned, I think I did for your wedding, I think I kind of challenged some people to a cannoli.
Oh,
and then I turned into something. So I'm just
we're hiring this little Italian lady to make mini cannolis. We met her at a market. She's so cute. She's like 80 pounds. So I'm like, oh, I wonder how many cannolis she can make.
But don't worry, I won't eat them all if there's not enough for guests. I was just kind of joking.
No, I know, they'll be funny. Yeah. Be fun.
But I guess I just want to kind of end with like, I guess like as a joke, 'cause, Christy and I are lifters and heavy lifters. And it's just like, eat big, lift big, like just use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
live your life.
Kill your lifts.
Yeah, live your life. I mean, yeah, kill your lifts. Go, no lift, no gift. I love that.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that you got a couple tips out of this, and comment below if you have any other advice or if you're going to take it. And wishing you all happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Bye.